CMMS Radio talks about all things CMMS, computerized maintenance management software, focused on maintenance management. It's the people, the process, and the culture that make your CMMS journey a success. Well, this is towards the end of the StrEAMline Asset Management User Conference out in Greenville, South Carolina. I got the chance to sit down with Alex Bolan of Digital Thinker Incorporated, and we kind of unpacked the event and talked a little bit about what's next. So jump in, check it out. Enjoy.
Me as a person, and this will probably help set up why it's super important for this vision, is when I took the Myers-Briggs, personality assessment, whatever, many years ago. My therapist at the time, which I've got no shame that I've been to therapy a whole bunch, but she looked at me and she said, "I have been proctoring this test for years and years and years and years, and you are the only person that has scored a 100 on the extrovert scale that I've met." And I was like, "Yeah, that's me." So I love people naturally, right? I'm a natural kind of truster, giver. I want to help. I love building relationships, and I love supporting people. And so when my dad started StrEAMline and we did this, we really wanted to just build a community that was full of networking, like sharing cool stories, right? Like sharing stories of different journeys, but just specific challenges that they've had. Just fostering that type of conversation piece. But more importantly, what we've learned over the years is we collective bunch we're all just a very bunch of passionate individuals, not only about maintenance and reliability and people, but the product that we use, the tool that we use. Like it's almost, I hate to say cult following, right? But it's got a special little vibe. And so a couple years ago, and we've talked about this before, there was a company who put on an event similar to StrEAMline, and they got acquired, and that event just stopped happening. And so then there was a massive vacuum for the community, and so an event didn't happen for about 2 or 3 years, and so a lot of those contacts were lost, right? Like a lot of that networking, a lot of what makes this so special was lost, and so Hexagon approached us to put on StrEAMline. They didn't call it StrEAMline at the time. We obviously came up with that, but so we said, yeah, we'll lean into this full and heavy and jump head first and just not even look back. And so what we want out of this, and we saw a little bit of it this year. Last year it was more prevalent. We want the users, the people on the journey, actually speaking, sharing their stories. Like we this year we had a mix of some Hexagon folks doing on sessions, some subject matter experts like the partner community, things along those lines, and that's good because we have a lot of great knowledge. I got a fun fact for you here in a minute too that I think is going to be fun. But we want more end users being really involved with sharing their stories and how do they make it work? How are they doing this? Because it's not about stealing secrets. It's about being transparent.
Yeah.
It's about, how do we make this world a better place? And how do I help others that are on the same path that I'm on?
So, like, all of this is in my wheelhouse when it comes to the journey stories and how those can make different types of impacts in different ways. And it resonates here, it resonates there. And then after somebody presents or has some conversation somebody saw, then somebody else is talking to them, and all of a sudden 2 people become 4 people, become 7 people.
Yeah.
And then they're not just making connections and potentially doing business, but they're getting in on this concept of solutioning and kind of problem solving, and it gets everybody thinking. But then we start to find out with because this one gets a little bit bigger every year.
Yeah.
And then those stories from before get revisited and how that's impacting today and what's the new story. And that's the whole point of it. And then the community concept for me, because when we talked about bringing me out, I was like, Alex, I'm kind of like an SMB guy. I'm just a CMMS guy. This is EAM. And you're like, well, wait a minute. All the stuff you talk about is asset management, and you're trying to stay in the middle and agnostic. And Greg, you're always going for the story. And what made an impact? How are you working with your people? How do you dial in your process and then layer in technology? So for me, I'm always like, I don't care what system you use, you got to get all that stuff right, and you got to work with the right people. So we're always talking about who's got the integrity, who's going to step up and be transparent, because that's a risk to be transparent.
It
But
is.
when that risk actually becomes a kind of thriving thing, impacts can get made. And I'm not trying to put buzzwords out there. I hate buzzwords, right?
Right, me too.
AI, what is that really, and all that kind of stuff. What do you think is the most different about this year compared to the previous couple of years that you've done this event?
So I think one of the biggest things that's different about this year, and I've heard this from a couple of folks. So, our product dates back many years, and John Sterling, to name drop.
Shout out to John.
Shout out to John. John Sterling is one of the I'd call them inventors of this community, so to speak. And so back in the day, the data stream days, they used to do a conference like this, and it's like 500, 600, 700 people worldwide. And so there were quite a few folks from those days that have been here this year that have made a comment to me of like, this feels good. This feels like the good memories I have from 30 years ago, and that's great. I want to bring those back, but I want to create new at the same time,
Yes,
right?
yes.
So things that are a little bit different this year. This is the first year that we've invited all of the partners in the Hexagon EAM community to not only sponsor but provide sessions, educate, content. And so this is man, you teed this up so well. We're really good.
I got lucky, man.
Yeah, I presented it to him, and I knew it was going to be a little bit of an uphill battle, but like shout out to like Clay Bush, shout out to Wes Kennemore, and I mean those are two, and there's many more. They saw the vision too, and they just jumped headfirst and said, "Yeah, man, we'll jump in here in the pool with you, and we'll start swimming." And so one of the coolest things is, collectively between the partners that who was in this building this week, we tallied up the years of experience, and just throw a number out there. What do you think it was?
650 plus?
A little high, but it's about 498.
All right.
498 years of not only maintenance and reliability experience, but implementing Hexagon EAM, really implementing MP2 and then D7i and then N4 EAM and now Hexagon EAM. So, I mean, we captured a lot of knowledge this week. I mean, Trent talked about it yesterday with you. How do we keep the tribal knowledge in and keep it from walking out of the doors? That's like, as I will quote him exactly, that's happening right now.
Yeah.
How do we capture that? And that's how we preach it with, the software that we also want to put into this. But how do we do this at this event? And you got to get the heavy hitters here.
Yeah,
you got to get them to come talk about it. And so they delivered, man. And I know this is kind of patting myself on the back a little bit, but I can't remember if I told you this. I looked at the survey scores this morning for the entire week of the event. So at the end of each session, right, somebody could fill out a quick survey. It's simple, right? 1 through 5, any feedback. 88% of the attendees filled out the surveys for every session.
Nice.
Huge numbers.
Yep.
The average session score, 4.9 stars.
Nice. That tells you something about what everyone was thinking when they designed their presentations.
Yeah.
And the only way I think that would happen, I don't know if I'm right, but I believe the only way that would really happen is if those folks running the sessions, regardless of who they were, understood the problems that they were presenting about and trying to help solve and get people thinking about.
Yeah.
And I think that's the purpose of all of this, because although the message doesn't necessarily change that much, you can pretty easily tell if someone doesn't get like what they're trying to do. You can tell if somebody's trying to sell something as compared to, hey, let me just give you something.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that stuff. And speaking of Trent McJunkin, he was on stage with me, and I had a lot of fun doing that.
Loved
and I can't wait to see what we get for feedback on that. But everything's been really fun for me. And I pay close attention at these conferences as to how the people are. Are they receptive? Are they open? Are they willing to just talk about stuff without
Yeah.
wondering, well, who are you with? I got to hide my secrets and all that. And I didn't see too much of that.
No, it's pretty minimal, right? And
Yeah.
so I think to this, man, I'm going to say it the way it needs to be said. I'm so concerned with sounding, elitist or offending, right? But this is truly what we want out of the conference. It is a true invitation to those that are passionate about what they do and that care not only just about getting the job done, but how can I help others get the job done? And like I say, kind of mentioned earlier, how do we make it just a better place all the way around? I don't want anybody that wants to come here and lurk in the corner, so to speak, and write down all the notes and take pictures and all that, because it's silly. I publish all of the content here for free, by the way. I put it on our website. After the event, there's going to be an open link where you can download all the slide decks for yourself. Like, we don't put any barriers to you getting the content that you need to get the job done. Obviously, it costs you something to get here, but I know not everybody can make it. And I also know not everybody can make it year over year. Sometimes they can come 1 year, maybe they can't come back again until a year later. I don't know what's going on in your life or in your work world, but I just know that if you feel like you can't make it, you don't need to be sitting at home just either filled with regret, grief, or what have you that you couldn't be here and see some of these super cool sessions. So we recorded all of them, and they're all going to be on YouTube probably about April 15th. And that's what we want. We want transparency. We want the openness.
Yeah, and we gotta put that FOMO out of the mix.
Exactly.
But some of the fun stuff that we do not record, and some of these great conversations that happen off of the mic, off of the camera, a lot of things get done just in the way of kind of what's possible. What could we do?
Yeah.
What did we miss? I mean, it's all good stuff.
Yeah. So this is a key example of it. Talking about our good boy Trent, he came up here yesterday, right?
Yeah.
And there is somebody else who is in a different division of his company, doing it's a different job, same problems, different job. And I've been trying to connect them to, and I didn't know that they had been emailing for a couple of weeks, just trying to literally solve strategy session problems. Like, hey, I'm having this preventative maintenance scheduling issue. Candace asked Trent, and Trent was like, "Oh, well, I've actually seen that problem before. Let's talk about it." And so the Trent was here, Candace was here. I was upstairs just walking around the lunch venue, and lo and behold, they found each other and they were having lunch together. And I was like, that is worth its weight in gold there.
That's what it's all about.
That's what it's all about. And, it's, again, they're the same company, two different divisions, big company over there. But there's so much of that going on. So much of it off the mic. And that's where the real value is at lunch, at our social settings, at the coffee bar. Hey, Jamie Hobar, I loved that presentation you had on how you guys deal with water line breaks. Little did you know, I'm part of a water authority unit in middle of nowhere, or what have you. We have the same problem. Can we talk more? And that's what's really good.
It's good, and I think one of the things I wanted to ask about, so we keep this one kind of brief, right? Because we do want people to come in 2026, and I know in 2026 there's already plans that it will be bigger, and there's one thing that we said previously on some of our episodes, you and I talked about, that it doesn't matter what solution you use. If you're dealing with asset management, if you're dealing with the concepts that go along with it, there's a bug flying around here. You want maintenance and reliability, best practices, insights, all those types of things. Get here, because you're going to have great workshops, and it's really not about people selling you stuff. And I think when I hear that, I'm always like, that's great. But then when I actually see it, it's nice to see it. So as a final takeaway, right? As a final takeaway, and this might sound weird to everyone, but because of the day that we're recording this, and right now, I just want to give a quick shout out, hoorah, to Gene Hackman. May you rest in peace. Thanks for everything you gave us, and thanks for your military service. But what would be a kind of a good way to close out this episode of CMMS Radio from this special event that's winding down today? Give us something.
Man, what nugget to pull out of the treasure chest, so to speak.
Too many to choose from.
Yeah, there are a lot to choose from. Okay, so here's the closing out. All right, I got to admit a character fault, so to speak. I've spent almost all morning today talking about what we're going to do in 2026. This event hasn't even stopped yet, and I can't help myself. I'm so just, I can't believe I'm even saying this too right now because I'm so tired, but I'm so eager to make this better next year. So what I think we're going to do next year, to shake it up a pinch. I'm a fan of change. I'm not a fan of dramatic change. So I think this is not going to be a dramatic change. I think this is going to be just the sweet spot. So this year, right, it was 4 days. It's a lot of time. We did all-day workshops on Monday, which was good. It was really good workshops, really good training. And then Tuesday, Wednesday was, just fire hose of information, right? Because we went from 8 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. Yesterday and 5 p.m. on Tuesday. That's a lot.
Go until 5 today.
Yeah, go until 5 today again, right? Like all-day workshops today too. And I know that's what people come for is that education piece, but it's not only a large time commitment, including travel and everything else, and investment from their companies and away from families. I talked on LinkedIn about, the kind of burden it's been on me and my family this week too. So I think what I want to do next year, I'm not committed. I think I'm going to move it to 3 days. And what we're going to do is we're going to change the session format up. So in the mornings, we're going to do teaching didactic learning styles of high-level application use of, let's say, like intro to SQL, or why is a preventative maintenance program important, or let's say, for another example, why is equipment ranking important in your reliability strategy? Let's micro focus in on a subject in the morning, and then in the afternoon, let's do a 2-hour, all right, we're going to go execute it. So I want to do 3 days of that, a couple of keynotes baked in there in a few areas, right? Like we need to learn about some exciting things, whether that's, what's coming out in the product, or like Verison and their inventory tracking software. I very high level understand what they do. That was awesome.
I saw a part of that. Yeah,
that was wickedly awesome.
Shout out to Jerome for his presentation.
Thanks, Jerome. Thanks, Marine Corps guy right there, man. I say make fun of him. I'm in the Army, and he's obviously stayed to the maybe organic crayons because he's a very smart guy. Yeah. but anyway, we want to share the exciting information in a collective unit. But I think we're going to get better education. We're going to be able to retain that a lot better if we can microdose it. That's not the right word to use. but
you can't say that in South Carolina.
No. So, but let's absorb detailed information in a smaller segment, and then let's go learn how to do it. And I think that's gonna. The few sample of individuals I've talked to this about, they have said, that's it. That's what we haven't ever had. Is something like that. We've had these, what Hexagon calls TUFs, technical user forums, and the TUFs, sorry guys, I love you Hexagon, the TUFs are tough. They're tough to be in. Sometimes they're really great conversation, but it is very much so conversation, a little bit of demonstration here and there, but it is, I don't know. It serves a purpose and it's good. But what I really think we can execute well at a StrEAMline, and this is what it's about. You don't have to be on a product, is learning. And how do we learn in such a great way? And I think that'll take us to the next stage of success for you, for the people that come here, is to learn in the morning. Let's have a good lunch and a good break. Stay energized, stay focused, and then let's do it in the afternoon. Let's get hands-on and in the weeds. So nice. That's my nugget. Again, I'm not 100% committed to that. We'll kick the can around, but I'm like 88% committed to it.
Well, and I've got some idea. I won't share them all here, but sure. I've got some ideas and some plans. We talked about some of it, but I got more because I think I've already got a few more partners that can help, that want to help the community with some of the things that they do, and some of the kind of technology and best practices that I didn't quite see enough of here that I think would be really helpful for people that are either struggling and succeeding with asset management to kind of level it up and get some additional presenters that can really bring even more value for everyone for these takeaways. So Alex Bolan,
Thank you, sir.
Thank you for being on CMMS Radio with me.
And being here.
The StrEAMline event, folks, it's really solid. It's unique in so many ways. So I hope you can get here next year. Please. I'm already excited about that. Yeah. But we're going to close it out, brother.
Thanks, man. This is fun.
You got it, man. I love it.
Did you find this episode helpful? Please send us some feedback, suggest a topic, or ask a question. Reach out to CMMS Radio if you need a co-pilot on your CMMS project. Visit CMMSradio.com and use the What's on Your Mind link. Thank you for tuning in to CMMS Radio, your resource for all things CMMS, from selection to implementation, to help you make better choices, learn from industry experts, and have a successful CMMS journey.